Hello and welcome back everybody. Today is the second part of our series on how to literally find your life purpose in a reasonable amount of time. So if you haven't watched the first part of this series, I recommend you do so because you're going to get a lot of important information that you will be needing for this very video. So you probably remember that the model that I want to talk about is this amazing model of Ikigai, which is this ancient Japanese concept for anything between life purpose and the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning. Your driver, your guiding star, literally that one thing that everything in your life is about. And there are a couple of disclaimers, and you will find them in the last video. The most important being, this is a big concept, but let's chillax everyone. Because, you don't have to find your entire life purpose within 20 minutes. But it is possible to have some sort of working hypothesis. So relax if the insights that you're going to be getting in the next 5 minutes are like boom, 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 boom. If they are, congratulations. And if they're not, it doesn't mean that you're lost. So here we go. From the last video, you will remember that there are these 4 things, the 4 purpose areas as I like to call them. And these are the things that you love doing, the things that you're really, really good at, the stuff that the world needs, and the stuff that you can be paid for. And there are a couple of really, really interesting things and insights that can pop up if you look at the overlaps of these exciting areas. And these overlaps are the things we're going to focus on today. So the first overlap is passion, and passion is where talent meets love. It's where the stuff that you're really good at meets the stuff that you love doing. And I think what is so important to note here is that it's not actually stuff you have to be paid for, nor does it have to be particularly useful, right? So, one of my passions is I love Googling late at night amazing and exciting venues where we can host our seminars in. It's maybe even a little bit useful, but frankly, I spend so much time doing this. You might argue whether that is really like a very productive thing. And other things, I don't know, like I love old furniture, and I'm really good at, like distinguishing different styles and, actually styling other people's apartments. And I have this massive Pinterest wall of, different antiques, and I don't know, I just have this massive passion for this. And I said I just want to highlight, your passion does not have to be your job, and that's one of the little tiny insights that I love about this model. It doesn't have to be your job because, per se, you don't have to be paid for it, nor does it have to be particularly useful. If the passion is the overlap between your talents and the things that you love doing, actually it kind of excludes, by definition, all the stuff that you're mediocre at or really bad at. And why is that so interesting? I'm just going to jump back to this whole I want to be more passionate in my career kind of questions, just because we get those a lot. If you are asking yourself, how passionate am I? Like, is my job really my passion? Think about the degree to which things that you're really good at and things you love and the things that you love are represented in your daily life on your job. And think about, to which extent are there things that I'm mediocre at or bad at, or that I feel less than love for? 2 points here. The things I just said are really good to evaluate, but also, as said before, your passion does not have to be your job. So if it is, lucky you. And if it isn't, have mercy. Because I know, for instance, in my own story, I am massively passionate about what I do, but this had to grow over, 5 or 6 years, and I started the job I'm doing today as a hobby, as a hustling project. And what I'm saying is, it is far more important to really, understand what your passion is than to make it part of your career directly. Because one thing I can share with you for sure, and that is, if you turn your passion into a job, but you don't have the skill set and it's just not sufficiently useful for other people, the amount of money or payment you might be generating from this just might not meet your standards. And if the job you are picking that is based on your passion does not provide you for a lifestyle that you love, you're going to start sabotaging your own job, your own passionate thing. And that is the last place where you want to be, because you will just start hating that thing that's in this magic overlap, between talent and love. And that is such a bad place to be. So yes, you can evaluate your job according to how passionate you really feel about it. And if it turns out that you are actually not so passionate, have mercy. Have mercy and rather create space and time for side projects, for hustling projects, for great hobbies that will give you that passion. And then later on, you can still think around, how do I turn that into a business, or how do I include that more in my career? So that was a long speech, but I just included it because this is such a central point in the questions we're getting. So I hope it's going to be valuable for you guys. Love and usefulness. So between the things that you love doing and the stuff that the world needs. And we call that your mission, right? We call that your mission because it's something that you just enjoy and it's needed, and that's why you do it. It doesn't have to bring you money. You don't even have to be very good at it, right? So a very common example is people being a parent. It's like probably everybody makes crazy mistakes as parents. We've all been wounded by our parents, and we as parents will wound our own children. It's probably the hardest job in the world. Nevertheless, it's once you have your child, it's just your mission, and you do it no matter what. For other people, and I just remembered a super, super cool coaching client that we had, she is someone who had this mission to build this mentoring program for young people that are neither in education, employment, training, or in any sort of structure provided by the government. And, was she the very best person to build this organization? We don't know, But she loved mentoring and she loved the idea of building that organization, and that's what she's doing. Is she being paid for it? Well, not yet. But that's what I'm saying, right? So, and for me personally, for instance, I guess, my biggest mission is to support the international heads of all these international NGOs that we've been working with, If you know my own story, you will know that I have been helped so much by these organizations, and they have this massively big place in my heart. In the past, we gave away up to like 40% of our revenues as scholarships for people from the non-profit sector. So hey, are we the best people to ever help them? I don't even know. Are we making money from this? Definitely not. Is it needed? Yes. And do we love doing it? Yes. So there's one really great thing about this whole mission little overlap kind of thingy, and that is, it is actually impossible to fail in your mission. And what do I mean by that? Someone might take away your stage. The ARC might fail as an organization, or the mentoring organization of our client, of my friend, to be fully honest, might also fail, right? You might actually fail as a parent to a pretty high degree, but does it mean that you cannot choose to pursue that path? No, it doesn't. You will still be that person to who, being a parent is massively important. to whom mentoring these kids is massively important, and I will probably never stop, doing everything I can to support these international NGOs. So that is maybe the one cool thing to give us peace of mind. If you know what your mission is, it is impossible to fail, because no matter how dire the context is that you are in, you always are probably going to have a choice to go in this direction or this one direction and this other direction, and knowing what your mission is will point you towards the right one. So here we go with the next overlap, and that is the one between talent and profit, i.e. the things that you're really, really good at and the stuff that you can be paid for. Now, if you're here to get rich quickly, this is probably the box that you want to have a lot of really smart things in. Because obviously being very good at something that you can be paid for really well, might just end up being massively beneficial for your bank account. The challenge for most people though is that, at least by definition, your profession does not have to be something that you love. And it might also be something that is not particularly useful to the world. Having said that though, remember how we said earlier that if, for instance, the passion project that you're having, or that passion business that you're thinking of building does not provide you the lifestyle that you want, if that's the case, then you will actually start sabotaging that very own beautiful project of yours. In order to actually prevent that, the whole profession box is really the box to optimize. So more practically, what am I talking about? If you are knowing already that you have this side hobby, this side hustling project that you really would love to develop, but you're worried that it will not pay you enough, relax about it, just be fine with the fact, have it a little bit separate, you don't have to move towards the center of this Ikigai like right away and within 1 year. You have your entire life to do it, and a lot of people will never, so relax about it. And just think about the ways how you can, have a profession and how you can sort of, balance this with everything that you've put under the passion overlap/corner, right? So, even, at the ARC, there are so many people who are pulling off their own massively amazing project, which fulfills them and which is absolutely fantastic for them. But at the same time, they're working as freelancers to finance their living. And, sometimes this is looked down upon a little bit in a sense that, but you have to, quit your job and throw yourself in there fully. But I think that's a little bit of an unfair judgment because, for me, I personally think it's pretty daring to actually pursue something of which you don't know yet how you're going to make money with it. So if you are being very self-critical around, oh, my passion just isn't worth being funded or being paid for, relax. Oftentimes, something will pop up over time and then maybe there's just no market for this, and that's fine, So use the profession box or overlap or however you want to call this, as a counterweight if you have, for instance, a passion that you feel you struggle to make money with. So the last magic overlap is vocation, where usefulness meets profitability or profit, right? So where what the world needs meets what you can be paid for. And for a lot of people, it's really hard to get their heads around between the difference of vocation and profession, right? So how are these things even different? Weird. And I think I can explain it best using a small example from my own personal life. Because I guess for most people it's easy to identify their profession, right? The stuff that they're good at and that they can be paid for. Vocation is a little bit harder sometimes, and maybe you don't even think of anything in particular right now. Or maybe what you're thinking of is pretty hypothetical. But here is the personal example. So I have been working with someone who is actually a former teacher and who has this crazy social enterprise and all these ideas around how to lower school absenteeism. So basically how to lower the number of students and pupils that are missing from school because they're like for a lot of reasons. So what he came up with was actually a software that would monitor these absenteeisms where people, or actually in that case the teachers, would have to log. Now, is he really loving IT? He's a teacher, I can tell you, he's not completely against it, but it's definitely not the biggest love of his life. And is he massively good at programming IT systems? Well, for sure not, and he basically had to hire a programmer. But is it something that the world needs and something he can be paid for? Definitely yes. So that particular business, for instance, is a good case of showing what a vocation means. I hope this made it clear for you. So let's start off and get down a couple of things for that. So that's it already. That's sort of the end of the second episode of the series. And I'm going to challenge you to just go back to your first Ikigai, those magic 15 words or mantra that you have come up with after the first video, and just look at it again and see, does it still make sense? You know, what's the overlap between all the things that now you've come up with and the things that you've already come up with after the first video? Just iterate and see what happens. Maybe, you are a little scared, or you would be like, wow, how will I ever get this done? Or like, thanks for that, maybe being a bit disappointed. The one thing I can tell you is there's an actual risk of you just putting that piece of paper aside and not doing anything. So the risk is real. We know this because, hey, it's very easy to not follow through upon the stuff you really should be following through. But there are surely out there a lot of people who don't want support with this, but if you're one of those people who do want support with this, dare to contact us for a coffee chat. It's a 45 to 60 minute free coaching where we will find out if the art is really for you, whether or not we can support you, and what the next steps could be. So if that is something that excites you, dare to click on the link below. Check out the websites. We are organizing bootcamps, retreats, coachings, amazing events across Europe, and it's a super open community whose people are really just waiting, for you to be welcomed. Don't be scared. It's really a hell of a lot of fun, and see you soon.